We're here live at the Blank Stage Theater and with special guest Stone Payton, author of a book entitled Never Fry Bacon in the Nude. And I'm guilty of this, Stone. On several occasions I have fried bacon in the nude. And I do it.
That's funny. Most people don't do that more than once.
Yeah. It's been it's been painful, but get his book. Get Stone's book. We just had a group here that had studied your book and learned a lot.
Yeah, it was fun to meet them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really neat. And we're going to talk about change. And in hearing you talk about innovation, I can just only imagine the fear some people might have.
Yeah, well, your first question I think was why do so many changes fail? Mm-hmm. There's so many answers to that, mm-hmm. And any that I share with you really aren't a product of my expertise or knowledge. I've been blessed in a lot of ways, not the least of which I've been hired and fired from some of the most respected consultancies across the globe, 3 of which were change management consultancies. And I think that the principals in each of those firms would say in one way or another that probably the primary reason that change fails boils down to 1 or 2 reasons. One being that the strategy implemented to try to execute the change did not match up with the type of change, because there are very different types of change. There is change that is really just sort of the next step. It's what they would characterize as developmental, just a natural progression. And then there is change that really does require sort of tearing everything up a little bit and going through this ugly, mucky stuff, and then everything's going to be nice and rosy on the other end. And we have this new order, and there's a different set of techniques and methodologies that we would advocate you apply when you're going through that sort of process. And then there's truly transformational change, which not only requires a substantive shift in the mindset and behavior pattern of the rank and file, but also of the leadership. And the other thing about transformational change, it's a moving target. It is such a departure from the established pattern. You can't really concretely define exactly where you're going to land. And as a result, you can't really practically solely manage change like that solely against time and budget. So the approach that people take to trying to manage or lead change doesn't match up with the type of change is one. And then the other one, and I don't care, it's regardless of what kind of change you're implementing, a lack of or poor sponsorship. That is, having senior level, mid-level, and even lower level leaders not properly equipped to express, model, and reinforce the shifts in mindset and behaviors that you're asking of your culture. And you see a lot of that happen, and statistics vary, but I've seen statistics as high as 75-80% of major change efforts just fall flat. They fail to return they fail to provide the return on investment they were designed to.
Mm-hmm. Now, what advice would you give me or somebody watching on how to execute change into shifting our mindset?
Well, there's a lot of things that I would at least want to challenge your thinking about. If we were to sit down and talk about a change that you're trying to execute inside your organization. But regardless of how you answered those questions, one of the themes that would come from me is engage your people. And that's something very different from another term you may come across in the change management arena, which is this idea of getting buy-in or even trying to manage resistance. To me, that's an impractical, very slow, arduous, and less than fruitful process, trying to predict who's going to resist and how are we going to stop them from resisting. In fact, in so many cases, you really do want them to share their concerns about the direction you're heading. So one underlying theme for me in counseling people going through change is not only allow, but actually encourage, even require your people to contribute to the process. And I mean all the way back to helping you get a practical, clear handle on the drivers, what's driving the need for the change in the first place. And you'll find that their perspective can often give you a much more accurate view of those drivers and the impact, what that really means to your organization, and then have them genuinely contribute to the design and execution of the change, as opposed to telling them all, okay, all of us in this salary range and above are going to Camelback. We're going to be there for about a week, and we're going to wax eloquent. We'll come back to you with 2 pages of new vision statement and the communication plan, and wait till you see the T-shirts. And that may sound trite, but I see it happen every day.
Wow. Well, let's talk about the future, and let's talk about some of the predictions that you see some of these change initiatives coming. Like, what can we look out for? What do we need to see on the horizon to be on the cutting edge of these changing these change initiatives and so forth?
Yeah, well, obviously you're going to continue to see a great deal of technological change, and whatever gizmo you're toting around right now, there's going to be a newer, better, smaller, faster one very soon. But even that and everything else that I think you might see in terms of tangible product and even process changes, well, the major shift that I think we're going to continue to see is the way that people gather information, the way they learn, the way they redistribute information, and the level of credence that information is given regardless of its source. And it's a wonderful time to be a keynote speaker, because back early in my career, whenever we would book a talk, and I had my team booking talks for me, if it was a meeting planner or a mid-level or low-level manager, I'd go do it because I'd get the fee. But I was always so much more jazzed if it was a senior executive who booked the talk, because then I knew that beyond the talk, I had a chance to genuinely impact how well the organization would do. Well, now people are much more open to and give a lot more credence to information that's coming from anywhere. So now I can go out and do a talk on speed or innovation or change or even executing on social media strategy. And even if it's a $12 an hour person down in the shipping department, if I can get to them and turn the light on for them, there is every chance in the world that idea will travel through the organization, and my presence there by virtue of a 90-minute keynote will genuinely have an impact. It's a great time to be a keynote speaker and an author. I absolutely love it.
You've shared some tremendous insight on speed, innovation, and change, and I really hope the folks that are watching can apply some of these principles. I love the one that you said, your team, and asking your team, hey, what do you think you guys can bring to the table to get that buy-in, like you mentioned. In our last moment here, what are some ways that you like to be communicative? If someone's watching our segment and wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way they should do that?
Well, I hope that we're becoming more and more ubiquitous, me and my team is almost international, and very few of them are on my payroll now because they include communities of practice through LinkedIn. Got a tremendous following and a group of people I just have a tremendous amount of respect for and getting tremendous value from on Twitter, Facebook, all these social media outlets.
Your Twitter account is what?
I'm a rock star on Twitter, man. I have to tell you, we just have
is it Stone Payton?
It's at Stone Payton.
At Stone Payton.
Yeah, and would encourage you to join the conversation at highvelocityblog.com.
Great. So find Stone on Twitter. If you're new to Twitter, find Stone on Facebook. He's out there. Become his friend. Stone, thanks so much for coming on our show. We'll see you around, and we'll see you on Twitter, and we'll see you when the next shift of social media comes, whatever that's going to look like. I'm sure you'll be riding that wave. And pick up Never Fry Bacon in the Nude, and Don't Fry Bacon in the Nude. A lesson learned. Thanks again, Stone.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our segments here with Stone, and I challenge you to use some of the principles that Stone talked about into your business with speed. How can you speed up your sales process? How can you speed some of this day-to-day tasks up so you can systemize some of these elements into your company? Next, he talked about innovation and how can you be innovative? How can you use some of the technologies out there to get your company over the top and on this technological wave we're on? Finally, he talked about change, some of the things that we have to do to change, and then how to how to get buy-in from your team to invest in this concept of changing the way you do business to be more productive. So challenge you on these things, and I look forward to getting your comments here on Thrive America.